Hi, Anthony. How are you today? Thanks a
Very good.
million for taking the time to hook up with us there. I'm sure you're an extremely busy man around these days with the last 12 months. I thought I'd take the opportunity there just to have a quick chat with you. I mean, there's business out there probably requiring an awful lot of help, and I'm sure there's lots that they're unaware of. Can you give us some insight?
Yeah, we've had I suppose, a different year, similar to a lot of organisations, and that we've had Brexit, which has been rumbling around for about 4 years now, 5 years, and then we had obviously COVID that kicked in March of last year, and the urgent requirement for business supports that came about as a result of that. Um, Brexit we could have planned for, which we did, as lots of businesses did, and but the COVID-19 situation landed in the space of a couple of weeks, and what happened then was there was a huge push for business supports to be put forward very, very quickly, and not only the pandemic unemployment payments to the staff, but also commercial rates waivers. We as an organisation would have been very heavily involved in the Chambers Ireland approach to this, which was collectively we went to the Department of Local Government and our local authority here, in particular in Fingal County Council, and we successfully got a commercial rates waiver for affected businesses, which to this day are still going on, and at this stage it looks like certainly to the end of June. There are other supports that are in place for business, not least of which are the grant schemes. The local enterprise office would have put forward a lot of those. Again, we would have steered a lot of our members into those government authorities to deal with those. Um, but I think it's been a trying year. But I would have to say that the government agencies, when it came to business supports and local authority supports, have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It is great to see those kicking in, and it's certainly encouraging to hear you saying that you see that continuing for a while longer. And certainly as a member ourselves of Chamber, we found that having that support there, and I see the events coming up. I see you've adopted there very very well to the online and networking type of events there. How are you seeing those going and the uptake of businesses changing to that idea?
Well, I suppose what we had were probably no different than any other organization around the world in that. And as people, we would subscribe to the view that people do business with people who they know, they like, and they trust. And a big part of what we did down the years was networking and in-person networking. That disappeared in the first week of March last year. And incidentally, the last in-person event we did was the local enterprise week, the behind the business event, and that was in the Grand Hotel in Malahide last year. And indeed, we had the same event this year, but of course it was online. But we pivoted very quickly. A lot of our people work at home. There are some of the people here. We provide one part of our service, which is export documentation, which we provide for companies who export to third-party countries. They are the people who are outside of the European Union, but not at this point in time the United Kingdom. That's a separate piece of paperwork there. But some part of that service has to be done manually. So the guys are here most of the week doing that. They're actually in person in the building because they have to be. Um, but everything else for us as an organization pivoted, and we would have recognized very quickly that the way we're going to do business, and indeed the way I would think all other businesses to survive are doing business, will have to change. We're very conscious of the fact that the message that we send out has to be seen, it has to be relevant, it has to make us relevant. We're talking to companies about support, business supports, advocacy on their behalf, with both national government and local government. But everything we do now, it's all of the rest of the guys work outside of this building and have done since March or April of last year. We had a brief respite, I suppose, during the summer when we all thought that everything was going back to normal, and it didn't. This is sort of a new normal. We will be working with the fashion we're working now, I would say, until certainly I would say the 1st of July, if not longer. It's constantly being pushed back. I think it's an issue for businesses that we're getting mixed messages in relation to what date and what rationale is behind the reason we're going to open or not. but certainly we've pivoted as an organisation. I think we've done a lot of good work. We have a very effective events program for the next 4 months, take us to the end of June. We then do our planning to take us to December. All of our events are, as I say, they're on our website. They can be booked online. So as an organisation, we've pivoted, but I think a lot of businesses have pivoted as well because they've had to. I know people in business and in distribution and supply businesses who now they're selling 20 or 25% of their sales revenue is actually in hand sanitizer and cleaning agents, whereas before they never sold them. But it was an offering they had to provide, and a lot of them they did a good job. And but it's going to be a big change, and I don't think it's going to change back anytime soon.
That's certainly an interesting one. I mean, Fingal, if I remember a stat some time ago, I mean, Fingal is one of the fastest and largest growing regions, if not, well, certainly in the country, but I might have heard it even in Europe. And do you still see that growth for Fingal there? I mean, certainly they seem to be leading the way as a county.
Yeah, the Fingal is the fastest growing region in the country. For lots of different reasons. There's good access. We're part of a large metropolitan area. There's a lot of industry here. We've got, even if you take as of recent times from the FDI sector, we've got MSD are going to open here in Swords very soon. That development there was fast tracked. The planning for it. They needed a quick result. They went to our local authority, the Fingal County Council. They turned it around really quickly for them. Indeed, the guys in MSD would have told me one of the key factors for locating here was they had a building that they were selling. They discovered they could remodel it, albeit with significant investment to get it remodeled, and they needed the imprimatur from the local authority very quickly, which they got, and the various state agencies. And that was a big decision for them to stay here. It was a big decision to reinvest in this locality. I think they're going to bring 350 high-paying jobs into the region. Being next door to an international airport is a magnet, I think, for industry because people need access. Albeit now the airport has really struggled badly, and we need to get to the other side of COVID-19 to get the airport back on its feet because it's such an economic generator for this region and for the country. But I think, tourism and hospitality is a big part to play here as well. 24% of our members are in that sector. There's a huge proportion of the businesses here in that sector, and they're all closed at this point in time. And, I think it's going to come back. Things will get better. We have a vaccine. If I was sitting here this time last year and we had no vaccine, and worse still, if I was sitting here now saying we don't have a vaccine, I don't know what the end results would be. The difference now is we do have a vaccine. It's proven it can work. We just need to get enough of them now. We're not getting enough. But I think we'll get them, and I think the world will reinvent itself again. I think we won't see a recovery till about quarter 4, to be honest. I would have hoped it would have been quarter 3 at the latest. It'll be quarter 4, and we're into next year really before we start to really get on our feet again. But I think all the portents are good. The long-term outlook is very good. And we would have been involved yesterday with the Dublin Economic Monitor. Again, this year won't turn out terribly well. But I think the portents for the future are very good. And from quarter 4 onwards, it starts to pick up again. And people will be going back to the office quarter 3, quarter 4 this year. Maybe in a hybrid fashion. They may not all be in the building at the same time. But there will be a significant return to the office in back end of this year.
I agree with you there in relation to probably a hybrid thing. I don't think everybody is going to remain working remotely. I don't think it's everything it's cracked up to be. I think the most important message, though, I'm listening to you there, Anthony, is the positivity, particularly coming from your likes of yourselves as an organisation, and seeing that we have light at the end of the tunnel and we have positive messages coming out, albeit, yes, we've got that date issue when things are going to change, but I'm delighted to hear from you. I really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy with all the businesses that's got activities that are going on that you're supporting there, but we might have a catch up then later in the year and see how see how these next 2 quarters go.
Yeah, and thanks to you for your support of us, because as you know, and you didn't ask me to say this, but we use your Sage package, and it's worked very well for us. And thanks to all the team there for the support.
Oh, appreciate that, Andy. Thanks a million. Right, take care. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.